Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content, please hit that subscribe button right now. The Cleveland Browns locker room is officially at a breaking point, and what just went down might be the most explosive internal conflict we've seen in the NFL all season. We're talking about a superstar defensive player publicly calling out a veteran receiver. We're talking about a locker room choosing sides in real time. We're talking about a rookie quarterback caught in the crossfire of drama that he didn't create but is somehow expected to navigate. And most importantly, we're talking about Myles Garrett, one of the most respected players in the entire league, stepping up to draw a line in the sand about what kind of behavior will and will not be tolerated in Cleveland. This isn't just another sideline argument that gets forgotten by next week. This is a franchise-defining moment that could determine whether the Browns come together or completely implode. So, what exactly did Myles Garrett say about Jeudy that has the entire NFL world buzzing? Why is the Browns' defensive leader getting involved in offensive drama? How did Shedeur respond to having one of the league's best players publicly defend him? And what does all of this mean for a Browns team that's trying to salvage their season while dealing with internal chaos that's playing out on national television? We're about to break down every single detail of this situation, and I'm telling you right now, by the time we're done here, you're going to understand exactly why Myles Garrett felt he had no choice but to speak up, and why Jeudy's time in Cleveland might be running out faster than anyone expected. Let's get into this. The drama reached a boiling point during and after the Browns' devastating loss to the San Francisco 49ers, a game that ended with Cleveland getting dominated on the scoreboard, but also exposed deep fractures within the team. The final score was a brutal blowout, and while the 49ers' elite defense certainly played a role in the Browns' struggles, the real story wasn't what happened between the lines. It was what happened on the sideline and in the locker room afterward. Jeudy's public confrontation with Shedeur had already made headlines, with cameras catching the veteran receiver aggressively going at the rookie quarterback, clapping in his face, standing over him, and basically berating him for plays that didn't work out. That incident alone would have been enough to create a media firestorm, but what happened next took this situation to an entirely different level. Myles Garrett, who is not just one of the best defensive players in football, but also one of the undisputed leaders of the Cleveland Browns organization, decided he needed to address what he witnessed. Garrett doesn't typically get involved in offensive drama. He focuses on his side of the ball, dominates opposing quarterbacks, and leads by example rather than getting caught up in controversy. But what Jeudy did to Shedeur apparently crossed a line that Garrett couldn't ignore. When Garrett spoke to the media after the game, his comments were measured but absolutely devastating for Jeudy. He didn't scream or curse or make it personal, which actually made his criticism even more powerful because it was clear he had thought carefully about what he wanted to say. Garrett started by acknowledging that he supports all of his teammates and wants everyone to succeed, but then he pivoted to address the elephant in the room. He said that Jeudy had a lot to say that was demeaning and disparaging towards some of the Browns players, and that behavior was disappointing to witness. Think about the weight of those words coming from Myles Garrett. He's not some young player trying to make a name for himself. He's a former #1 overall pick, a multiple-time All-Pro, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and the face of the Cleveland Browns franchise. When he says he's disappointed in a teammate's behavior, that carries enormous significance. He's essentially telling the world that what Jeudy did was unacceptable, unprofessional, and harmful to the team. But Garrett didn't stop there. He went further by saying that he wished Jeudy had more to give to the team for the remainder of the year, which is a polite but pointed way of saying that Jeudy's performance and attitude have both been lacking. Garrett was diplomatic enough not to completely torch Jeudy in public, but make no mistake, those comments were a clear indictment of both what Jeudy said on the sideline and how he's been conducting himself as a veteran leader, or lack thereof. Then Garrett said something that was perhaps most damaging of all. When asked directly about Jeudy's sideline outburst toward Shedeur, Garrett admitted, "I don't know what that was." That simple statement speaks volumes. He's saying that Jeudy's behavior was so out of line, so inexplicable, so contrary to how professionals should conduct themselves, that he genuinely couldn't understand what would possess someone to act that way. The most important part of Garrett's comments came when he made it absolutely crystal clear where the locker room stands. He said, "We're behind him 100%. We're going to support him however we can." Now, Garrett was careful not to explicitly name Shedeur Sanders in that moment, but the context made it obvious who he was talking about. The locker room is behind the rookie quarterback. The team is going to support Shedeur Sanders however they can. That's a definitive statement from the leader of the defense, and it sends a message not just to Jeudy, but to everyone in that building. If you come at Shedeur Sanders, you're coming at the whole team. If you try to tear down the quarterback, you're going to have to answer to the locker room's leaders. That's powerful stuff, and it immediately shifted the narrative from whether Jeudy was justified in his frustration to whether he's even wanted in that locker room anymore. According to sources close to the team, Myles Garrett didn't just make those comments to the media and call it a day. He actually pulled the entire team together after addressing reporters and delivered a message directly to his teammates. He made it clear that nobody in that building should support what Jeudy did on the sideline. He told them that they're not going to let outside noise twist the situation or create divisions within the locker room. He emphasized that the veterans and leaders in that room have Shedeur's back, period, end of discussion. That kind of intervention from a player of Garrett's stature is rare and significant. It shows that he views this situation as serious enough to require his direct involvement, that he's willing to use his influence to protect the team's culture and support the young quarterback. For Shedeur Sanders, hearing that message from Myles Garrett had to be incredibly meaningful. Here's a fifth-round rookie who's trying to establish himself in the NFL, dealing with the normal challenges that every young quarterback faces, learning a new system, adjusting to the speed of the pro game, building chemistry with receivers, and on top of all that, he's dealing with a veteran receiver publicly attacking him on national television. That could destroy a young player's confidence. It could make him question whether his teammates believe in him, whether he belongs, whether he has what it takes to succeed at this level. But then, the best player on the entire team steps up and tells everyone that the locker room is behind the quarterback 100%. That's got to help Shedeur breathe easier, knowing that when it mattered most, the veterans and leaders had his back. Now, let's talk about Shedeur's own response to this entire situation, because his handling of it has been nothing short of impressive and shows maturity that goes way beyond his age or experience level. After a game where he got attacked by his own receiver, where the offense struggled, where questionable coaching decisions undermined his performance, Shedeur could have melted down. He could have pointed fingers. He could have created more drama. Instead, he gave one of the most thoughtful and accountable press conferences you'll ever hear from a quarterback, let alone a rookie. He acknowledged his frustration with how the game went and didn't shy away from calling out the offense for not matching his intensity or effort when the game was slipping away. Shedeur admitted that he needed to do a better job rallying the guys when things got slow, that he didn't do a great job of bringing everyone together when things weren't going their way. Think about that for a moment. This rookie quarterback who played well despite being let down by drops, fumbles, and questionable play calling is taking responsibility for not being a better leader. That's remarkable self-awareness and accountability. He's refusing to make excuses, even though he'd be completely justified in doing so. But Shedeur also didn't let the rest of the offense off the hook. He made it clear that performances like what they showed against the 49ers cannot happen again, that the loss was unfair considering how hard some guys worked, and that everyone needs to be held accountable because mediocrity cannot be accepted at this level. One of the most revealing things Shedeur said was about the lack of confidence he felt from the offense during key drives. He talked about how the plays weren't sharp, guys didn't look settled, and even though everyone knew the stakes, nobody stepped up in the clutch. He said unity is non-negotiable during tough stretches, but in this game, they fell apart instead of coming together. That's a diplomatic but pointed criticism of what happened. He's saying that receivers weren't locked in, that the offensive line wasn't on the same page, that the unit as a whole didn't have the confidence and cohesion needed to execute in critical moments. And when a quarterback talks about lack of confidence from his teammates, you know exactly who he's talking about. Jeudy leading the league in drops, fumbling the ball, running poor routes, and then attacking the quarterback on the sideline is the definition of a player who's not instilling confidence in anyone. Despite all the chaos around him, Shedeur Sanders actually delivered some truly electric quarterback play in that 49ers game. He made throws that should have flipped the momentum and kept the Browns competitive against one of the best defenses in football. The problem wasn't his performance. The problem was that nobody else matched his energy or execution. He kept them alive almost single-handedly, but he couldn't do it alone, and the lack of support was impossible to ignore for anyone watching. The most frustrating example came on literally the very first play of the game. Shedeur saw the pocket opening perfectly in front of Jeudy and fired a beautiful, perfectly timed pass straight into that space. This should have been an easy completion to start the game with positive momentum. But instead of attacking the open lane and catching the ball in stride, Jeudy slowed down and drifted, leaving the ball to hit the turf incomplete. That set the tone for the entire game, a quarterback doing his job at a high level while his receivers let him down. There was another play that perfectly encapsulated the Shedeur versus Jeudy dynamic. Shedeur rolled to his right under pressure, pulling multiple defenders with him and creating space downfield. He then launched a perfect deep ball, placing it exactly where Jeudy needed it to score an easy touchdown. The throw was absolutely flawless, showing Shedeur's arm strength, accuracy, and ability to make plays under pressure. But a quick mental slip caused Jeudy to lose control of the ball, fumbling away a touchdown opportunity that any locked-in receiver should have secured without hesitation. This wasn't a difficult catch. This wasn't a situation where the defender made a great play. This was simply Jeudy failing to do the basic job of a professional receiver, catch the football and secure it. Even more impressively, Shedeur kept delivering pinpoint passes while the 49ers' elite defense brought relentless pressure all night. There was even a play where he stood literally uncovered in the pocket. No offensive lineman in front of him, completely exposed to charging defenders, and he still launched a pinpoint strike like nothing fazed him. In that risky moment, Shedeur proved exactly why teammates and coaches believe in him. Most young quarterbacks would panic in that situation, throw the ball away, or take a sack. But Shedeur stayed calm, trusted his process, and made the throw. That's the kind of mental toughness and poise that you can't teach, that separates franchise quarterbacks from guys who can't handle the moment. Then came one of the most baffling coaching decisions of the entire night, and it added yet another layer to Shedeur's frustration. The Browns were inside the red zone with a legitimate chance to swing momentum and make it a competitive game. Shedeur had been moving the offense effectively and was clearly in rhythm. And then Kevin Stefanski made the inexplicable decision to pull Shedeur out and hand the ball to running back Jerome Ford and backup running back Pierre Strong, who were already struggling to break through the 49ers' defensive front. Everyone watching could see that the running game wasn't working, that the 49ers were loading the box and daring the Browns to run. But Stefanski still went away from his quarterback, who was making plays instead of trusting Shedeur to finish the drive with his arm. The decision completely killed their momentum and made the entire offense look disorganized and confused. You could see the frustration written all over Shedeur's face because he knew he had the rhythm. He knew he had the right reads, and he knew he should have been the one leading that crucial scoring opportunity. For a coaching staff that's supposed to be developing a young quarterback and building his confidence, taking the ball out of his hands in that situation sent exactly the wrong message. It told Shedeur that they don't fully trust him in the most important moments. It told the rest of the offense that the coaches are second-guessing their own game plan, and it gave ammunition to critics who were already questioning whether Stefanski was the right coach to develop Shedeur into a franchise quarterback. That sequence made Shedeur's frustration with Jeudy even more understandable and justified. When a quarterback is already battling questionable play calling from his coaches, drops and fumbles from his receivers, and pressure from an elite defense, the absolute last thing he needs is a veteran teammate turning on him and attacking him on the sideline in front of everyone. Jeudy's outburst didn't just cross a line of professionalism. It made an already difficult situation exponentially harder for everyone to navigate. It created a distraction when the team needed focus. It sowed division when the team needed unity. And it put Shedeur in an impossible position where he had to defend himself against his own receiver while trying to lead the offense.